Hello everyone and welcome back to the Cyclocross Social podcast. Today we're going to be taking a look ahead at some of the national championships this weekend, and with me to that is Issam. Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Let's start with the biggest event of the weekend, the Belgian Championships, the most competitive men's race across all countries. I'm pretty sure we will see there. This race takes place in Heus de Zolder, a very famous course, of course, has hosted the World Cup, World Championships a number of times, road and cross, and in recent years it's been home to the Super Prestige. But this year the Belgian Championships will take place there. Course is always quite fast. And, well, there are quite some contenders because Van Aert isn't racing. Issam, for you, the hard question. One name, one big favorite.
On the men's side, I would definitely say that I think Laurens Sweeck will have a very good chance. I think that he, the way he has been going through the Christmas period and how he has picked his races and tried to win the races he had the chance in, and also successfully fulfilling that in a way, I think that he for sure looks at Zolder and at the Belgian Championships as something that is just going to be a big objective, big goal for him, and he wants to achieve that. And I think that a gut feeling somewhat says that Sweeck will definitely be one of the favorites, and in my opinion, the main favorite, next to big contenders that will challenge him for the title.
I would agree in saying that Sweeck has really, really good papers to win a second Belgian title here. As said, he's chosen his days in the Christmas period. He deliberately didn't go to Dendermonde. The weather here is quite bad this week. He is chilling in Spain in his apartment on Palma de Mallorca, doing a couple of training rides, enjoying the sun, really preparing this race in optima forma. But I don't think it will be easy. The course here makes for quite close racing. And then you come to a number of outsiders, and I'm curious to how you think about it. But to me, besides Sweeck, I would say Thibaut Nys and Niels van der Putte are two riders that we should keep in mind. Van der Putte says he wants to race for the win only. He doesn't care about any other position at the Belgian Championships. It's the win that counts here. All these three riders, also including Sweeck, have good sprints, so if it were to come down to that, it would be quite close. But typically it stretches out quite a bit at that final part of the course. But of course we've also seen sprints here, so there's two possible scenarios, at least for me. Either somebody pulls away in the latter stages of the race, or it comes down to a sprint, and the sprint in Zolder is quite long. Back to Van der Putte, he did a number of races over Christmas, 10 to be precise. And that definitely caught up to him at the final weekend of racing. He wasn't that good in those final races. Thibaut Nys, on the other hand, has been a bit up and down. He's had a few good results, more on the heavier courses. This is a fast course. Still, I don't think we should count him out, Issam. It will be hard to drop him. His positioning game has been quite good this season. He won the European Championships, which was a super fast course. He has the form, right? But he needs to get it together, and in a sprint, well, it's going to be very close.
I don't think any of these riders, including Sweeck, to be honest, want to look behind and see Thibaut Nys on the final straight preparing for a sprint, because I think that's going to be a very hard job to beat. He has been beaten in a sprint before, but it's tricky. It's really tricky. You don't really want to put yourself in that situation, I think. So I would say definitely that Nys, if he can put it together and get himself well throughout the race, not make many mistakes, start well, and be in the right wheels, I think he has a shot if he's still there on the last lap. But with Nys at the moment, it's tricky, because sometimes it's very good and sometimes he doesn't really show up, and he is there but he's not really there. And I think that is for the championship is going to be important. He's someone that can work towards these big races, and he is well aware of the pressure, and at times he's very much able to handle the pressure. So I think it's going to be very interesting. I mean, he would be a very popular Belgian champion if he was able to pull it off, but I think it's going to be quite a challenge. And I agree with you on the race scenario in a way. I think that with Zolder, you have to be very strong if you want to pull off a first lap break, try to get away from the bunch and stay away for the entirety of the race. I think that you will probably, as you say, some type of peloton forming in a way with 5, 7, 8 riders that are able to stick together for the first couple of laps. And then, the pace will obviously go up a little bit, and we will see who is then going to be the strongest. And that could be that we will see a sprint of 3 or 2, or it could be that only one will survive the last lap and across the line first, winning the championship.
Nijs this year has been on and off, and that's not only his results, right? So his starts have also been on and off a bit. And Zolder is not necessarily a course where you want to have a bad start. It can be quite hard to pass. I mean, obviously, a famous example that disproves my point is when Talita de Jong became world champion here. She got pushed into the gravel trap in the first lap, was way back, and overtook everyone to still become world champion. But again, I wouldn't really want to be in such a position because it is quite narrow, it is quite fast, it is quite tricky to overtake. Somebody who then does come to my mind as Zolder is a good course for him, but with his current riding style, I don't know how it's going to work out, is Eli Iserbyt, right? He can definitely count on Michael van Toerenhout to support him. Probably that will also be reversed here because they are coming in as the underdogs. That's been quite different in recent years. So normally Iserbyt, van Toerenhout, 2 of the top favorites. Now we're mentioning them as 4 and 5. But Iserbyt, we've seen over the last few weeks that his starts have been relatively slow. He warms up and gets into the race. But I think people are sleeping a bit on him for this course because he is quite good on this course. He always delivers here. He can use his punchiness here. Iserbyt does not shy away from a course that is this fast. I mean, last year he finished second here, was fighting with Van Aert. And I say last year, but really I should say 2 years ago because we're in 2025 now. He was the longest competitor of Wout van Aert there. And he does do well here. He won his first U23 world title here as a first year. So when he does deliver, he is dangerous. And over this Christmas period, despite all these talk about the injury he has, or his lifestyle as he says, he's been up there, right? He won in Baal, he was good in Diegem, he was okay in Kokzijde, he was very good in Gilligem, and he wasn't good in Dendermonde, a course that doesn't suit him. He was fine in Besançon as well. I would not count out Eli Iserbyt defending his title, which can only create for extra entertaining team dynamics.
Yeah, and I think he will definitely, if Van Toerenhout is not the best and Iserbyt is the better rider that day, he will have the support, and it will go the other way as well. I think that the duo Van Toerenhout and Iserbyt did not have a lot of chances to play the team tactics in a way, but I think that if they get the opportunity during the Nationals, I definitely feel that they will try to pull it off in a way. And at times it is possible to do so in Zolder, because if you pick the moments well, you could try to play some team tactics in a way. And I think that, they are very experienced, so they will obviously try to do so if possible. But I agree with you. I think that, Iserbyt, if you look at his races, in terms of the later part of the race, he has been quite good, and he's always able to play a role if he gets the opportunity to do so. Big question is he going to be able to get out of trouble at the start? Because the issue that you have when you start so bad, in a way, is that you sometimes end up in the trouble that normally should have been behind you. So I think that for him is going to be, a big thing in a way, and it's going to be an important factor. If he wants to do well, he has to make sure that his start is going to be well, and from there he and Van Toerenhout can play the games a little bit and see where that will end up in terms of, how can they put the competitors under pressure, because that could be an advantage in a way. They will definitely. Sweeck has his teammates with Viseur in a way, and also Verstringen, but I think that the duo Van Toerenhout and Iserbyt, when they are able to do so, they could be quite dangerous.
Most certainly. I do think that this course will be a bit of a hampering factor for Van Toerenhout. He has been quite fine, but this is probably a bit too fast to him, and then I would favor a couple of other riders. Yes, he was up there in Diegem, and he will be up there, but for a win, he will definitely require some luck, some team tactics, kind of in that direction. And I feel a similar way about riders like Toon Aerts and Emiel Verstringen. They've shown the potential to perform over the Christmas period, but is this the type of course for them? I don't know. I don't think so, actually. I do think I know. The answer is no. And the same goes for Visura, right? He won in Ruddervoorde this year on a fast course. But after that, yes, he's been up there on faster courses. Yes, he's been versatile. Yes, he's been all round. But for a win at the Belgian Championships, again, with the field being so close, a lot can happen, right? It just takes one attack at the right moment. Visura, if he's up there with Zweek and Verstringen, has teammates that can help him. But again, I think that on this type of course, it's a Belgian Championship. Zweek, while if necessary, he will probably play the team game, definitely wants that title himself. He is going to try and avoid being in a position where he needs to accept Joran Viseur attacking on the start-finish straight with 2 to go and being put in a position where he needs to wait and hope that Paul Sauze solves it or hopes that Toon Aerts solves it. These are riders that will be in the mix, but again, I think they will require more luck, and if it comes down to pure performance, the 4 big favorites for me are Zweek, Iserbyt, Van de Putte and Nys.
Last guy I want to mention in a way, I think, Toon Aerts hasn't been mentioned so far, and I think that he had a very decent campaign if you look at the latest results. I feel that he play a role in terms of trying to be within the first 5. It's going to be hard for him to get on the podium, I think, but if he has good legs and he's able to position himself well, not make that silly mistakes, which Zolder doesn't really allow you to do so in a way. I feel that he definitely, with the races that I have seen him do well in, it could be a race in which he can surprise in a way and get himself on the podium, potentially. But it's really an underdog position Toon Aerts will enter this race. I feel that a top 5 could be well within his possibility and a podium would be overachieving in a way. But I definitely would think that he is capable of, being up there with the very best. And that is going to be interesting to see as well. I mean, it's going to be a great championship, a bit nostalgic in a way, because we have so many riders in a way that could pull it off, and that makes it just, great to watch, I guess.
Then time for some predictions. Issam, what do you think? First 3 positions.
Tough. I'm gonna stick with Laurens Zweek. That's the guy I think that can pull it off. And I would say then second, Thibaut Nys. Against all odds, in a way, in my head at least. It wouldn't be a big surprise, but just in my mind, I think that if Nys would be able to be second, I think he could also win the race. But I would say then Zweek, Nys, and then the third spot for Toon Aerts.
I will go with something else then. I am going to say that Eli Iserbyt defends his title, then just behind Nys sprints to second ahead of Zweek. Then the women's race here in Belgium, Issam, it was kind of highly anticipated at the start of the season, especially in Belgium. There was this idea of, Kant is retiring, a new generation of riders will take over. That narrative was especially pressed after last year's World Championships in Tabor, right? They were so proud that they had a 15th place in the junior women's race and 3 riders in the top 10 of the women U23 race. But now, when we're at this championship, it's kind of Ribeirol is the last one standing. Verdonschot is out with an injury. She will be starting, but she has a narrow artery in the upper part of her both legs, actually, which means, according to her coach, she barely gets any blood in her legs during the riding, which ultimately will hamper her. She will undergo surgery, very, very common injury for cyclists, so she will race, but definitely not in good form. Then Kant isn't there. Fleur Moors, the Belgian top talent, who's also very good on the road, was a good course for her, but she's been sick for over a month, and she could have started, but the team is protecting her, taking her to Spain for a long training. So that really leaves Ribeirol as the lone favorite, and while they're trying to search for a narrative in which Julie Brouwer or Alicia Frank are real contenders, Ribeirol has consistently outclassed them. And on this fast course, I honestly think the biggest challenges might not come even from those two, but maybe from Marta Truije, a good road rider, and somebody who's not been mentioned that much, but was, I think, their best finisher last year at the U23 World Championships. Xavier van Sinai.
And what could have been in a way. I mean, it was definitely going to be a little bit more interesting if it wasn't for the absence of the riders that you mentioned, and I think that is a bit of a shame. But if you look at the starting field right now, I think that you cannot overlook the fact that just Ribeiro cannot lose this championship in a way. I think that this, despite the fact that she definitely has to watch out for some of the competitors. I think Marta Truije has shown some great promise in a way and looked quite powerful, and is going to get a course in which she can use that in a way to her advantage. But I think that if Ribeiro is going to play it smart, and if Ribeiro is going to keep her head cool and not let the occasion get to her, there is no chance really that she can lose this, in my opinion. I think that this is her prime opportunity in a way to finally win the Belgium title, which she really has been eyeing for quite some time. But her bad luck was in a way that Sanne Kant was alive and Sanne Kant was able to race, and now she's going to get probably the first clear opportunity in a way to win the title, in my opinion.
I agree with you that Ribeiro should normally be able to win, even despite the fact that this course doesn't suit her. It's an okay course for Brouwers, but it's not sandy enough. Brouwers is the best in the sand. She has a good sand technique. So again, I come to Truije and Van Sinai, but really, okay, Truije I can kind of see with like the power, but ultimately I think Ribeiro should be able to drop her. If Truije races smart enough and can consistently outclass Ribeiro by leading into the technical sections, then Ribeiro gets into an issue, because if it comes down to a sprint, there's no beating Truije here. So I would probably put her forward as the biggest opponent, but what we're also seeing here is the poverty that the Belgian media has been warning for years, right? So even when Kant was winning the world titles, the big criticism was, what is there behind Kant? We have Van Looy in the top 10, but she's older than Kant. She's going to retire before. Joyce van der Beke, we only have old riders. Where is our young talent? We don't matter in the women's U23 category. We're irrelevant. What will happen after Kant? And especially the first years of Kant's decline, that was a prominent storyline every single weekend. What's the future after Kant? What's the future after Kant? Kant isn't racing out of respect for the jersey, because she said, in case I win, the jersey wouldn't be on display for nearly a season. I don't want that. I think that's a nice gesture. But now we're also getting what they were warning for. Without Kant, and really that's no different than the past couple of years, but Kant always carried that legacy and that big name. Sure, with Ribeiro they have one top 10 contender, and for Donschot as well. But they're kind of realizing that their field is super, super thin. And while I know that in recent years there have been more efforts, and they are worth mentioning, Ellen van Looy trains a group of young women that are in the De Keuster-Boutman pipeline. And she trains them, and honestly, I've seen quite some decent talents there. I'm not going to name them because they're still too young, and I don't feel they deserve that pressure. But there is some talent coming through. But when you look at the start list here, Issam, you can also conclude that it's much needed.
Yeah, it's definitely an issue at the moment, and they have to work to solve the issue in a way. It's not a big issue. You will always have generations that will not be able to fill the shoes of the generations that were before, and the glory of of that period. I mean, even the men's category in Belgium had that issue in the late 90s, if I'm not mistaken, and really struggled in a way with the foreign riders. So it's not. This is something that can happen in a way. I definitely think that because of Kant and her presence in a way, it was a little bit, for Belgium at least, it was maybe easier to lay back a little bit and not put more effort into the women's category in a way. And I think that hurts them nowadays. And it's good that they are aware that they have an issue, because it would be even worse if they are not even aware and basically just focus on the men's category and don't even care what's going to happen on the women's category. So I think that is a positive as well. And they are working on it, and we will see progress over time. But you cannot expect the progress within the first 4 or 5 years. It's gonna take a while. It could happen, but I think it will definitely need time, and we should give it time as well. We should not put too much pressure on the projects that they are running at the moment and the process that they have to go through. But yeah, I think in a way we are kind of now a little bit more aware, not aware, but we're used to Belgium not being able to play a big role in the women's category, because Kant in the last couple of years was definitely not able to do what she was able to do in her, her best period of her career. For me, at least, it's not coming as a surprise, but it seems that in Belgium it's a little bit more of a surprise, or at least they need a lot of adjusting to get used to the situation they're in right now. And I can understand it in a way, because they feel that they are a very big nation within cyclocross, which they are. And they wanna win. They wanna take part in all categories. And at the moment, that is on the women's side, in my opinion, not really the case. And to be honest, if you look at the results, it's visible.
I agree that we shouldn't put pressure on individual riders or necessarily like the De Coaster Bouwpunt training project, but I think we do have a right to be critical of the Belgian Federation here, Issam, because it was the season of the Bogense World Championships 2018-2019. Kant didn't have a great season as world champion. Really, the season before was also not that great, but she got a course that suited her incredibly well in in Bogense. I'm confusing everything now. In Valkenburg it was. So those seasons, like every time the Belgian Federation, whoever was speaking there, whether it was Sven van Toerenhout or the president, they were like, oh yeah, we are working on it. And every year it's been the same. We are working. It's been nearly a decade. We're 7-8 years on from there now, and they clearly haven't done enough. And I get quite pissed because the Belgian Federation does nothing to make sure that there's actually races for these young women, these young girls to do. Ellen van Looy said it very well. When our girls turn 16 or 15, they're thrown into the elite fields in the B races. They need to race against the boys. Good luck. That's quite a unique situation. Not many countries do it that way in the 15-16 category upwards. There's also a reason why the talent doesn't come through, because Belgium has a handful of standalone junior women races. For the number of races there are in Belgium, it's quite shocking how few have junior women's races. This year there were, excluding World Cups, 2 junior women's races in Belgium. Antwerp and Gullegem. Then there was the Zonhoven World Cup, and then we have Heus de Zolder. That's a disgrace. It's disgraceful. They should be ashamed of themselves. That's just unacceptable. And these races, they put on junior men's races. They put on 15-16 men's races. Sometimes they even put on 2 15-16 men races. And then you wonder why the talent isn't coming through. And this is something that frustrates me deeply, so I'm going to start cutting this rant short. But next year there's going to be a fine implemented by the UCI and organizers of races that don't have a standalone junior women's race, and I expect to see plenty of Belgian organizers that would rather eat that fine so they can put on other races for men than they can actually give the women the opportunity they deserve. And that's what we're going to see here as well this weekend. Junior men's race broadcasted, men's under 23 race broadcasted, men's elite race broadcasted, women's elite race broadcasted, highlights from the U17 men's races on the TV. But do the junior women get attention? No, they don't get the broadcast. So, good. Enough, Issam. Time for some predictions.
I'm expecting a wall of shame next year, right?
Oh yeah, every race that eats the fine, I will call them out.
They definitely deserve to get that bad attention in a way. Predictions, results. The results are coming in later. The predictions. As I said, Ribeiro is for me the one that is the main favorite and should normally win. So I would say Ribeiro. I would give Julie Brouwers the benefit of the doubt because she has been going quite strong. I think that if you look at Verdonschot, it's just very hard to believe that she will be in form to get on a podium. So I would say then Marta Truijen rounding up the podium in third.
I will agree with a Ribeiro win, but I'm going to put Truijen in second, and then I think that Alicia Frank is going to take third place. A quick trip over the border then to the Netherlands, where the Dutch National Championships are taking place. They take place in Oosterwijk. This race has typically hosted a C2 race early in the season. It used to overlap with the American World Cups, providing an opportunity to score points for the riders staying behind, not fancying to sleep in a hotel. The course there is a mix of grass and sand. It can be a bit muddy. The weather this week is not looking great. Let's start with the women's race here, Issam. It would normally be a very highly contested championship, but a couple of big names are sitting it out. They are skipping. So Lucinda Brandt is staying in Spain training after a busy Christmas period. Van Empel, idem dito. Peters and Alvarado will race, and I wonder who you favor or if there's maybe a dark horse.
I have to say, to be honest, that Alvarado the last week, or at least the last week of racing, has been really hard to kind of predict what she will be doing, and I think that going into this championship is just going to be very hard. You know, if Alvarado shows up in a form that we have seen her in the middle of the season and how she started in a way, I think then obviously Alvarado will be, in my opinion, a bigger favorite than Petersen, to be honest. But if it's going to be the Alvarado that we have seen last week in a way, a bit iffy, not really able to secure victories she normally would be able to, I think that Petersen is, in my opinion, the clear favorite. And behind them, I don't think they will have fierce competition in a way, because I feel that both of them are experienced enough to put the pressure on early on and make sure that they are at least distanced from the rest in a way, so they're not in any trouble from other riders trying to position themselves a little bit better. So I feel, to be honest, that it's most likely going to be a battle between the two. And the one with good legs is probably going to come on top. At the moment, gut feeling would probably say that Petersen be able to bring it home.
I have to agree with you. Based on the results the past couple of weeks, but Petersen definitely carries the momentum coming into this championship, right? So she really improved and showed that with her performance in Baal. Then she took the win in Koksijde, and she was also up there on a course that didn't particularly suit her in Dendermonde. She carries the momentum here. In the past, championships have been a bit of an issue, mostly the World Championships, and even that the sample size is quite small, so we can't really conclude that championships are big issues for her. I think it will certainly at a Dutch championship not matter to her. She's won this title before, and I think we'll see her back in that jersey with Alvarado finishing second. A short question then, Issam, do you think there should be a mandate to protect organizers that you have to race the national championships in order to be selected for the world championships?
I was thinking about this, because we have, not only in Belgium and Netherlands, but there are quite some countries in which nationals are skipped by the most prominent riders in a way. And it is an issue at the moment. I don't know if that would probably solve the issue, but I don't know if the riders will be very happy with that, because it looks like some of the riders are really feel like that weekend will cost them in a way, because then they have to, if they are in Spain, they can actually train for 2 weeks continuously in a way, and that will be taken away from them, because with the nationals they probably will be there a day earlier, and you might stay the day after as well. And I can understand in a way why you would skip it if you are a rider that already has won it a couple of times and don't want to chase any records and want to focus on the worlds and maybe also road campaign or mountain bike. I do understand it, but I feel that would probably currently be the best solution, because I think that the nationals, whatever you think about it, I still feel that should be one of the most important races for a cyclocross rider. Even if you have won it already once or twice or 3 times or 10, I feel that you still should be able to represent your country in a way. And if you don't have any special jerseys, that should be the jersey you should be wearing in a way. And it's a shame that it has somewhat devaluated, or because of the multidisciplinary thoughts that go through the minds of the riders, it kind of has fell off, which is a bit of a shame, and I hope that can be changed, and who knows, that could be a solution in a way.
I don't know if it's the go-to solution though, because as you say, in a multidisciplinary approach, it's hard. Riders also need to prepare their road season. And secondly, the Christmas period has also become so busy that it takes a heavy toll on the riders. and that hurts them towards the championships. And ultimately, there's more money to be earned for Brandt in that time of the season by securing the classifications than at the national championships. And yes, pride and the title and for your country, it's all very valuable as well. But if you're Brandt and you've already won the title a number of times, then you might think, well, everything for that second world title rather than, I think, her fourth or fifth Dutch title. She has collected quite a few over the years. Maybe a better solution would be to move the national championships to elsewhere on the calendar. Then you again come to issues like, are the big names even starting their cyclocross season then? Where would you put it in the first place? Because we also have the continental championships taking a certain date. I don't really know the solution. I definitely do agree that it sucks for organizers, and I wouldn't necessarily be against better protection for them. But on the other hand, if this is a requirement by the federation, then Van der Poel might just say, okay, in that case, I won't go. And you can't even require Van der Poel and Van Empel to do it because they are automatically invited by the UCI as defending champions. So it becomes very, very iffy and it's complicated. I don't necessarily have a solution, but I do know my prediction will be Pieter Alvarado van der Heide.
I will be very boring and completely agree with that prediction and take that over, I guess.
Okay, then the men's race. What do you think there, Issam? Joris Nieuwenhuis, the defending champion, is starting his season after struggling with shingles. Pim Ronhaar has been in okay form in recent weeks. Van der Haar has been a bit up and down. And then there's the U23 world champion, Tibor Del Grosso.
Yeah, so at first I was really focused on Ronhaar and Van der Haar, which is not a weird thought in a way, because I feel that those are definitely the two strongest Dutch riders at the moment. But then, obviously, you have the under 23 category, and you reminded me very well of the guy we have been hyping up a little bit, I guess, in the junior categories, dominating under 23 in a way. Del Grosso, and I'm at a point currently that I think he has a very good chance of winning the title, I think, because he has shown great form and great legs in a way. He has picked his races as well. He has no issues compared to the other two in a way. I mean, Ronhaar has his back, Van der Haar has not been well. And I feel that, he's going to enter these championships. I don't think he's going to have a crazy amount of pressure. And he's just going to try and be in the mix. And I think that if he has that attitude and he's not going to go there with a whole lot of ambition and just try and do his best, I think he actually has a chance.
I don't think pressure can even get to Del Grosso. He does not seem like the type of rider to be baffled or even be influenced by pressure for these type of events. I told the story a few weeks ago from Hogerheide where he's just minding his own business, going to the toilet shortly before the race when everyone is already taking off their jackets and stuff. This man is cold-blooded. He doesn't really seem to care. This week I watched a nice YouTube video, A Day in the Life with Tibor Del Grosso. It looked nice and you can kind of get an insight into what type of person he is there. He's very funny, tiny bit cocky, I would say, but at the same time very, very down to earth. He's a showman on the bike, and ultimately I do think he's my favorite for the Dutch title here in the elite category, because the only time he was beaten by a Dutch rider not named Mathieu van der Poel was in Namur when Ronhaar beat him. Yes, Ronhaar can beat him here, but I do think that when it comes down to it, he has been the most consistent. You mentioned it. Van der Haar, Ronhaar, Nieuwenhuis, they all have their issues, and Del Grosso seems to have none of them. He's in a good flow, and I think he's going to take the win here, joined on the podium by Ronhaar and Van der Haar. It's good to have Nieuwenhuis back, but I think it would be a bit wild to expect him to finish on the podium with, well, everything that he's had going on this season.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. I think that Nieuwenhuis, I would definitely love to see him immediately being up there and fighting for a podium or even the title. But I think that currently is just a very unrealistic expectation, I would say. And it's, he has had a very tough season. I mean, didn't race, was anticipating to be racing in Antwerp, and that fell through, and it has been I would say a nightmare of a season in a way for Nieuwenhuis after a very strong season, and it's a real shame because he showed great promise last season, and it sort of a breakthrough season again. in cyclocross. But yeah, that has been taken away from him with everything that happened, the circumstances, and yeah, now he is in a, I would say, crappy situation, and hopefully he can get over that. I don't know if it's going to be for this season, but I think the Nationals will definitely tell us a little bit more about what we can expect from Nieuwhuis, at least this season. And from there on, he has to build towards the next one.
Then maybe briefly we can visit some of the other national championships, starting in the Czech Republic, Issam. Men's favorite to me is still clearly Michal Boros. He definitely should have one more title in him. Sure, at the national championships, there's usually the Tupac brothers putting up a challenge, but I do ultimately think that with what Boros has been showing the past few years, he should have it. The women's side may be a bit more interesting. Probably Zemanova will be able to take the win, but her season has been quite atrocious. She had that COVID infection in the preparation of the season, and she never really fully recovered from that and never was able to wipe away her training deficit. The biggest opponents, and that's quite funny, would be junior women, and since they are in the junior woman category, I would expect that Zemanova is able to take another title here.
Yeah, I would like to mention also the Spanish Championship, which also will be taking place this weekend. And in a way, on the men's side, it's probably not going to be that exciting. I think that with Felipe Orts, it's going to be a home race where you can wave to the fans and look left and right and enjoy the atmosphere in a way in the last couple of laps, because I feel that it was the last couple of years, it was similar. And I think that he is now on a point of his career in which it would be even easier to make it happen. So I think if there's no bad luck, and even if there is bad luck, he could still recover from that and make it happen. On the women's side, we can definitely look to Lucia Gonzalez Blanco and say that she will most likely be the favorite. However, it's maybe a little bit more tricky this season, because I think that Rodriguez Rever definitely showed some great promise this season and was able to beat Blanco in some of the races in Spain, and that could be a sign of change. But we will see. I think there in Aspontes, it's a course that we kind of know already from the CX that they kind of have in the course, like laid out, and it looks quite nice there on the beach. So it's going to be a good race there. Interesting to see who will take there the victory on the women's side, but I think on the men's side that race is decided beforehand.
I will probably say that Rodriguez Rever is going to be able to take the win here. Maybe a small upset, but kind of have that feeling based on the last results on Spanish ground, but we will see if Gonzalez Blanco has one more push in her. A few other worth pointing out, kind of the fallen greats, Swiss and Italians. The Swiss should be a win for Kevin Kuhn, but since the course is 50% tarmac, Loris Rouillet definitely also stands a chance with a crazy dive bomb into a super short finish straight. Women's side there is a bit different, hard to predict, don't really know who's participating there, but probably a repeat from last year is definitely not off the charts when Alessandra Keller took the win there. She normally shows out for the national championships, but I don't recall seeing her this year, and she's also not on the start list, I'm being told right now. So then maybe Rebecca Esterman or Lea Stern. It's really not stacked at the moment with just 6 women elite on that start list. What I meant, fallen great, and kind of the same in Italy. Casasola, we would say the outright favorite on the women's side, but I don't know if she's racing. She's been out for quite a while. The start list is not out. I would have maybe hoped that Vietzi could pull an offset in the elite race, but he's racing the U23 race, understandably. So then you immediately look, well, maybe it can be Filippo Fontana again, or maybe it can be Bertolini. He's done a bigger season here, so yeah, hard to tell really about these fallen greats here. The start lists aren't out, so good. Then Issam, maybe the British Championships and the French Championships. Let's start in the UK before we draw to a close here.
Yeah, I think on the men's side, we could definitely be looking on a battle between Thomas Mean and Cameron Mason. It seems that Mean has found some form and has showed some good results during this season. He struggled as well, but it looks to be on the up in a way, and that could help him towards the championships. And for Mason, he's the current champion at the moment, and I think that he too had his fair share of bad luck. It looks to be on the up, after a somewhat disastrous start of the season. He's also looking to get better and better. So I think we definitely could be expecting quite an interesting battle there for the British title on the men's side. On the women's side, who is starting?
Yeah, that's the big question. It was on the initial schedule of Kat Ferguson, but I don't know if she will race after that crash. She's been training in the UK. Cameron Mason is racing on the men's side, and I would probably say, based on his performance in Dendermonde, he has the best papers to win, but it's not guaranteed with Thomas Mean there. I don't expect Backstedt to race, but again, I don't know. There's no start list. I don't know if Imogen Wolf is racing. Kay will race, but I don't think we can really say anything sensible without knowing who of those women are starting, because if they are there, it could be quite interesting. In France, Venturini is not on the start list at the moment, so we could see a bit of an open race there, but then I do think that Dubois will profit on the men's, or that's on the men's side, and on the women's side we can see a bit more of an open race, Foucounet versus Clausel, but I wouldn't be all too surprised if Géry walks away with the victory there, senior performances this year. Issam, maybe a final question. Who do you see become Portuguese national champion, Romanian national champion?
Nah. I don't know them. Oh God. No, I honestly I cannot even mention one Portuguese rider at the moment, and that's in a way bad, but also kind of understandable in a way. And Romanian, you're definitely then on the wrong address in a way, because I have absolutely no clue who's racing in that race. But I will definitely look forward to the results, unless you can help me out here and tell me who is racing there and who's the main favorite.
Wendy Buena, she's the favorite there. She finished 22nd in the World Cup of Gavere. She is the defending Romanian champion. She took her first elite title as a second-year junior last year. She finished 14th at the World Championships, which is exactly why I know her. She was okay on the junior women's scene the past 2 years, but in all seriousness, I was more kidding around. And it's great that all these countries put on their national championships, right? But even for the CX nerds like me, at some point it runs out. And I can tell you that Kabatai is the favorite for the women elite title in Albania, but I can't tell you who's the favorite in Denmark because I don't know who's starting, right? So it becomes hard, but it's always great to see so many national champions crowned, and it's the big weekend. But we shouldn't forget we already have had a large number of these national championships take place, right? So we've had the season starting with New Zealand and Australia national championships. Now we get many before we hit the national championships weekend. And in that trend, I would want to point out one thing, and I think it's a bit of a shame, but it appears like Chladonova has given up on her cyclocross season. She raced the Slovak Championships, took the win there, and then hasn't raced anymore. She did race the European Championships at the start, so unless she's just putting in a massive training block preparing for Benidorm and Worlds, then I would be surprised. I kind of feel like the Visma team has already taken its first cyclocross victim from their talented female signings, so it would be a shame to see, but let's wait. Benidorm is around the corner, and then we'll know. Good. Issam, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and looking forward to the nationals. I hope we can follow it a little bit, and I definitely await the results for the races that we are not able to see, because not all races are broadcasters, unfortunately, as if I was going to watch them all.
Yeah, 100 screens and put all the split screens up to see it. I don't know. I definitely think the Belgian championships are always easy to follow, and then normally with a few streams you can come quite far. I don't know if the Dutch championships are being broadcasted. They've been a bit back and forth on it. Highlights, live stream, highlights, live stream. Plenty of things to find out before it takes place. Else, I'll just need to drive down there and give you a report. It's not too far. I should actually go. It's like 40 minutes from my house, so need to support the local races. Good. Again, thank you so much. We will be back this weekend covering the national championships across both days. Podcast Saturday, podcast Sunday. And then we are back after that heading towards Benidorm. Thanks for listening and goodbye.